All right, y'all. In this video, we are going to pick up with committees. Again, we are reviewing the legislative branch. That's the branch that makes the laws in our three-branch system. We have the executive branch, the legislative, and the judicial. So this one, again, is the legislative branch. It's the one that makes the laws, and a lot of that lawmaking takes place in committees. So, committees. Both the Speaker of the House and the Lieutenant Governor appoint committees. These committees take on different issues and they make recommendations about specific bills. Remember, at this point, they're not laws, they're just proposed bills. As I said at the beginning, the committee system is an important part of the legislative process. Lots and lots of the work, almost all of it, takes place in committees. Both houses use committees to study bills before they are sent to members for debate and vote. There are about 36 regular committees in the House of Representatives. Each representative, so if you're elected, you would be assigned by the Speaker of the House to sit on 2 or 3 committees. The committees deal with things like public safety, education, agriculture, transportation, etc. Lots and lots of stuff. Unlike the House, there are only about 26 committees in the Senate, but remember, the Senate has less members. Each senator is a member of at least 3 committees, and the lieutenant governor chooses each committee's chair. Remember, the lieutenant governor, even though he's the number 2 person in the executive branch and he's elected statewide, he is also the president of the Senate, so he gets to choose which senators preside over committees. Here you have a meeting of the Senate Rules Committee. There are quite a few people who are on this committee that are sitting there doing their work. So, what happens when you want a bill to become a law? Well, we've looked at the presentation that I gave you about how a bill becomes a law. There are lots and lots of things that happen, but for us, for brevity, and for us to really understand and grasp what it takes for a bill to become a law, I really wanted to focus on 5 main areas. So 5 main areas. This is a specific legislative process. So drafting. Drafting is what happens when a group of lawyers and legislators actually write the text of the bill. Now, that doesn't mean that lawyers and legislators are the only ones who can draft a bill. In certain cases, we've seen lobbyists that have written bills and then given them to legislators, and then those bills go on to become law. Those lobbyists, they serve an important role, but they certainly aren't legislators, and they certainly aren't necessarily lawyers. So this drafting process occurs. So but even though it's introduced, it has to be introduced. So either a senator or a representative introduces the bill to the House that he or she belongs to. So the bill gets introduced in the Senate by one of the 56 members of the Senate, or it gets introduced in the House of Representatives by one of the 180 members of the House of Representatives. So, as I said at the beginning, though, most of the work on these bills before they become law, if they become law, takes place at the committee level. The committee studies the bill and they decide whether or not it should become a law. Now, the Democrats and the Republicans, usually the committee makeup is heavily made up of whatever party is actually in control of the House or the Senate. So if the Republicans are in control, the committees will typically have more Republicans. If the Democrats are in control, then the committees will typically have more Democrats. And that does impact the chances of certain legislation passing from committees and ultimately becoming law, because of course the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, they have different values, different sets of beliefs, and they have different special interests and things that their constituents want. All right. So here we have a picture of someone actually meeting or voting on a bill. Here we have another picture of someone actually voting for a bill by raising their hands. Committee process. So we moved from that number 3 to number 4. So if it passes out of the committee, then it gets floor consideration. The bill is read aloud in either the House or the Senate, and members vote on the bill. If the majority votes no, then the bill dies. That means it goes away. It doesn't become law. If the majority votes yes, then the bill goes to the other house where the process is repeated. So if you were looking at your graphic organizer, this is where we talk about the first chamber and the second chamber. So if it passes the chamber it's introduced in with a majority vote, then it goes to the next chamber. Now, if the chambers can't agree on a bill, the exact wording of a bill, the bill might be sent back to committee to see if they can come up with a version that both the House of Representatives and the Senate actually agree on. So if they can do that and they agree on it and the wording is the same, they send the bill to the governor. Now, the governor can sign the bill and it becomes law. He can veto the bill, and that sends it back to the General Assembly for reconsideration. If 2/3 in both houses vote to override the governor's veto, then the bill can also become law. Now, there is a third option. The governor can leave the bill on his desk for an amount of time, and if the bill isn't signed, it will become law. Here we have Governor Deal actually at a signing ceremony, so he's chosen to sign that bill into law. Finally, here we have a version of the graphic organizer about how a bill becomes a law. If you look at number 1, you see citizens develop or suggest an idea for a bill. Number 2, members of the House of Representatives or the Senate propose the bill. The House and Senate vote to approve the bill. If the governor signs the bill, he cannot sign it or he can veto it. If the bill is vetoed, another vote can be taken. Again, if more than 2/3 of the House and the Senate vote to approve it, then the bill becomes law.